Before we start the podcast, a big shout out to our sponsors and partners, Gym Pro Apparel. They're making waves in the health and fitness industry at the moment. They've got some great gym wear for men and women, so be sure to check them out in the link below. Right, let's get cracking with the episode. Gully, welcome back to Below the Belt podcast. How you doing?
I'm all good, man. Thank you for having me on again. Just ready to talk about my journey since the last time I've been on the podcast, but it's good to see you again.
Yeah, good stuff. I think the last time you were on the podcast, I think you were probably about 6-0, right? I think as a professional boxer. Oh, about 6-0. I think now you're 11-0, right?
Yeah. I think I was about 6-0. I think definitely now 11-0. So we've had quite a few fights since then. And yeah, man, it's been a great journey so far. And, you know, we've got big things coming. Literally, 3-4 weeks away. And I can't wait till I fight. That's what I'm waiting for.
So that's the big announcement, right? You've been selected to box in the Boxing Grand Prix in Saudi Arabia, which is the first Boxing World Cup. Is that right?
Yeah. So the WBC Grand Prix is part of Riyadh season. Massive opportunity for myself. I'm representing England. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just a great opportunity. I'm fighting the best prospects in the world, and I'm ready for all of it.
That's a huge platform as part of Riyadh season, right? How did that opportunity come about? Because it's potentially a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, right, to fight on such a big stage.
Yeah, the opportunity came around as soon as we heard about it. We got the application sorted out. We signed it. We didn't realise it was going to be so soon, but obviously due to it, you know, being so soon and stuff, we got the emails. I got a call from a manager. We literally went the next day and we just signed all the forms up. And we found out we got pre-selected, and then a couple of weeks later, we got selected to be, you know, for the Grand Prix, and it's just a major opportunity. I was really happy. I was already in camp. I got a new nutritionist involved, and things are going great right now. So I've just got to stay focused, stay locked in, and just keep my mind focused on the sport of boxing and the fight.
Nah, that's awesome. And obviously we're on March the 25th at the point of recording this, and you fly out in like a couple of weeks' time, right?
Yeah.
To Saudi?
So we fly out on the 12th, I'm pretty sure, and we get there for the 13th. I'm still waiting for further details like press conferences, etc., and how it's going to work. But all I know is I'm definitely flying on 17th, and we fly back on the 19th. So, you know, should be in the next 4 or 5 days. We should know even more stuff, and that'll be out on my social media.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the format of this Boxing Grand Prix. Is it kind of a knockout stage format, or is it slightly different? Is it a league format?
So there's 4 weight categories. You got featherweight, super lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. And there's 32 fighters in each division. Mm-hmm. It's a knockout thing, so it is a knockout thing. And there's 41 countries involved. So obviously I'm representing England, which is crazy. The only English fighter in the...
you're the only English fighter?
In the featherweight division. I think there's a few in the other divisions, but in the featherweight. So, you know, and it's just a major opportunity.
So you're not just flying the flag for Sikhs, but you're flying the flag for England in the featherweight division, right?
It reminds me a bit of the Olympics, isn't it? That's always something I wanted to do, but like literally... It's like a complete different... It's like the professional Olympics, it feels like, you know what I mean? Because, you know, there's so many different countries and you're fighting the best in the world, and it's a knockout thing as well. Same thing as like the qualifiers, etc. was in the amateurs. And it's like, I'm used to this already, you know what I mean? Like, obviously, I know I haven't fought in a different country, but I used to fight in the amateurs everywhere around the country and stuff like that. So, you know, I'm used to fighting everywhere, like, you know what I mean? I don't mind. And I think... I'll probably even thrive under the lights even more, like, you know what I mean? Being in a different country, having that pressure on me, because I like pressure. It makes me a better fighter. If I know that I'm up against someone that's going to be good, that will bring the best out of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's my mindset all the time.
Yeah, I feel like you're at that stage. Obviously, I've been watching your previous fights, and you've been dealing with them as well as I think you can deal with anyone and those caliber of opponents that are in front of you. 100%. I think you can see the step up in each of the opponents that you've started to face, but I think again you're ready for the next step now, right? The next step up, and it's going to be a competitive tournament, and hopefully now when you have... Obviously, there's going to be other boxers in that tournament who are going to be looking to win it, so they're going to be really coming to bring the heat, but that may suit you as well, right? And there's going to be more openings there for you to take advantage of.
100%. Like, when the fighters come to fight, it's better for me, because if people see me spar fighters that are really good, I perform better. You know what I mean? So the better the fighter, the better I fight. if someone just comes to survive, it's hard to get them out of there. But people ain't seen me fight someone since the amateurs. Obviously, when I was in the amateurs, I was taking people's, like, breaking people's bodies. I was getting the openings. And now I can finally show it in the professional game. It was difficult to get me the opportunity. We tried many different paths, different routes. We tried the English route. We tried the Commonwealth route. We even got investors up from our sponsors and that. Shout out to Jobsworth Recruitment Agency and the CCS Jets Chauffeur Business. They tried to invest in a silver Commonwealth fight for the Hanger Show and Box Nation, but it just never fell through. But this guy, like Waiguru, had a different opportunity for me, and now that is the Grand Prix, WBC, the world stage. And it's crazy because I've gone from like the small horse shows straight to the world stage, but I was made for that stage. You know what I mean? Like, the greatest paths take a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm still 22. I'm still young.
It's crazy that you're still only 22 years old.
And I'm focused. I'm always focused. I'm locked in. Like, you know what I mean? My sister's wedding was the other day and I was still locked in. You know what I mean? I was still doing my 8-mile run. I had to stay focused. I was on my nutrition diet even through my sister's wedding. Congratulations to my brother. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I've always been focused with anything I do. I'm always focused. Even when I'm at, like, let's just say I'm sitting here right now, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do later on. There's always a thought in my head. I'm going to run later. Or I'm going to spar later, etc. Like, what am I planning? You know what I mean? What's my schedule? So I'm always one step ahead. But right now I'm focused on the present moment. That's just doing this podcast with you.
Do you know what? I think that's a trait which, and obviously I've called this out on podcasts with other boxers and other people that have come onto this podcast, that the reason that I think that you could potentially do something big in the sport, there's a trait, and it's a common trait amongst athletes who become very successful, and it's that obsession with the sport. You can tell it consumes their mind. All they're thinking about every day is training, fighting, sparring. It's just on their mind 24/7. And I think in some ways you do have to be obsessed, right? You have to be a little bit deluded in some people's
100%.
eyes. You've got to think big. But yeah, for me, that's why I've got that kind of feeling that you're going to do something big in the sport. And like you said, you were patient, you bided your time. There's a lot of politics in boxing.
100%.
But now you've got the opportunity, right, on a big stage. But just going back to some of those opportunities you just mentioned, like for the Commonwealth Silver, I think you mentioned, was that becoming a bit of a problem, getting those fights and getting those opportunities for those titles?
It's for some fighters, I think it's high risk, low reward, high risk, low reward, and they don't. For someone like me that's active, fights 11 times in 2 years, someone that's really obsessed, got a big following, etc. Sometimes it becomes an ego thing, and fighters ain't sometimes willing to take the fights. But I don't blame them because it's business at the end of the day. Sometimes boxing's it's more business, money side, etc. But with me, I'm just willing to fight anybody. That's how I've always been. Like, I've never said no. My team always make the fights happen. That's why I've gone into this Grand Prix. This is even harder than anything I've ever gone towards, like, say, for example, English route, etc. And I've always wanted to have domestic fights. Even a Midlands title fight, I've always wanted to go step by step. But Waiguru has a different plan for me. If they want me to go to the world stage now and they think I'm ready, I'm ready. I'm only going to go with Waiguru's Girpa in it, as I say. And that's just something that I feel within myself that I'm ready for, because I'm connected, you know what I mean? And the way I see it now is like, you know, I'm still young, and like people say you're going to burn out, this and that, etc., like with your training. But how are you going to burn out if you're fully locked in?
Have people said that to you, that you're going to burn out?
100%, man. I've seen and heard it loads of times. People say you need to do this, you need to do that, rest and burn.
But I think your recovery, even though you train hard, I've noticed your recovery is good as well, right?
I recover on the weekend.
Yeah.
So like I'll do like a light recovery session on Sunday night. Saturday's a full rest day, and then Sunday half of the day is rest. But I'm always active. Like, I'm always still, I'm fully recovered. You know what I mean? And with me, my mindset, I think I beat the doubt in my mind. It's like sometimes you know you don't want to do something. I just go and do it.
Yeah.
Because once you get it done, like yesterday, I didn't want to run 5 miles, but I had to. So I just went and did it without even thinking about it. You just go out there and just go smash it out. And I actually got the fastest pace I've ever done.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you got to have. If you don't want to do something, just go and do it. Do you know what I mean? That's what I've done with the Grand Prix as well. I thought, I've got nothing to lose. That's the mindset I've got. I'm treating every fighter like a world champion. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give it my best shot and I'm going to win. That's how it is. You dare to be great, to be a champion. You want to be the best in the world. Sometimes it's not about the money. It's about the champion mindset, about the heart. And if you want to be the best, you have to just go for it. And I'm literally just willing to strike and just go for everything that they said I can't have. And everyone will see that on the fight night. They'll see that, you know, my mindset's different and I'm going to come and win.
Yeah, I could tell it's different 110%. And like you were saying, you've had people that have said to you, oh, you might be overtraining, you might be doing this, you might be doing that. I think a big part of your career and your journey, obviously you're still only 22 years old, which is crazy, but I'm sure there may be some mistakes in your training, like many other boxers that you might make. But I think if you look at some of the greats, whether it be Mayweather and other people, they've gone into the ring in certain fights and they probably haven't been at 100%. 100%. But I think a big thing, like you said, is mentality. And even when you're not at your best, finding a way to win, understanding that you may not feel at peak sharpness in a fight, but you've still got to kind of grind out that win and find a way, right? And I think that comes with experience and knowing yourself and whatnot. But I like the mentality of, in some ways you may be overtraining, but I think you're more of an old school fighter. And if you look at the old school fighters back in the day, mate, they'd be running themselves into the ground, right? I'd rather have a fear of overtraining than undertraining, right? I think you can tell at 22 years old, you can pace it really well, right? In a fight, a high tempo, you throw a lot of shots, and you don't seem to drop the pace either as well. So
I think, you know, with boxing, if you want to be the best at something, you can't have time off. I see, and I don't, you know, everyone's path's different. I've seen a lot of fighters. I see a lot of great, good, really talented fighters, and they're just letting their talent go because their hard work's not there. With me, I had to work hard to become talented.
Yeah.
And now that I've got the talent and I work hard, that's even more dangerous.
Yeah.
And I think if you want to be the best in the world, you have to make the most out of your training. You have to stay focused every day. You got to make sacrifices. You got to have that number one mindset. I am the best, you know what I mean? But you always got to have God in your side. Like with me, I've got massive faith in Maharaj, one Guru, and that keeps me going, keeps me strong. And I listen to Bart and stuff, Japji side.
Would you say you've got, even now from listening to you from the previous podcast, would you say you've grown closer to God throughout your journey in boxing? It's a lonely sport, right? And I remember when I used to box, if anything, I was probably closer to God at that point because you feel alone. And when you have that faith in something, it gets you through some really tough moments. But yeah, would you say you've grown closer to God
100%,
over time?
100%. Like in Sikhi, we was warriors at one point. So we had faith in Maharaj, and that's how we got through things. That's why we didn't feel pain when we went to war and stuff. And that same type of energy applies to me. And the thing is, with me, I just stay humble, I stay focused, and I know that I'm nothing without God. You know what I mean? So, yeah, my faith has definitely grown. I've always had faith in Maharaj. Like, I've always, you know, went to the Gadra and done my Mata Dik and done my Seva, etc. Like, it's not even something that I talk to people about. That's within myself. That energy is within me, innit? I don't need to tell no one what I'm doing, etc. But your faith, like my faith in Maharaj has definitely grown a lot. Like for me, I'm one with everyone.
Yeah,
I'm good. I don't care what ethnicity or what religion or whatever you are. Yeah, I'm willing to inspire everybody in the world. That's always been my mindset. You know what I mean? And like that's what our first guru taught us. Ik Onkar. You know what I mean? Be one with everyone. Everyone's equal, and that just applies to me massively.
Yeah, no, that's spot on. And one of the things you just mentioned there, we're a warrior race, right? Why do you think that we have so few up near Sikhs in the professional game? I'd maybe even say the amateur game, because I remember when I was amateur a while ago, I could probably count on one hand how many other up near that I saw. I know it is slowly getting better over time, and there are more up near kind of getting and Sikh Punjabis getting involved in boxing and combat sport, and there's probably is obviously role models like yourself that have encouraged that. But why do you think like we're meant to be a warrior race, but we probably have kind of the fewest people competing in these combat sports?
I think it just takes one person to take it to the next level. That's all it is. I think, you know, if you get one person that can inspire the next generation, and then you get other role models, etc., that are there as well. But if one person becomes world champion the same way Amir Khan became for the Pakistani community, you know what I mean, then that will take it to the next level. But I think it's not even the fact of we don't have many Sikh fighters. I think all it is that we just need that motivation to just push on. And there's so many kids I've seen that are talented. I'll go to, you know, different Gurdwaras and I've seen these kids, they're very good fighters. They're very talented. But once again, it's just about motivation, dedication, isolation.
Do you think it's a cultural thing as well, though? Because we know with one thing that there's usually a path for people of our culture, right? It's to go on, get educated, be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a pharmacist, or whatever it is. Do you think that impacts the amount of kind of Sikhs participating in combat sport?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I think it's just a path. So obviously, it's like everyone wants to be a doctor and stuff and go towards a different route. No one's ever looked at the sports side, I think. And now that there's more athletes that are Sikhs coming up, that's actually a major play. Young kids are starting to see, and families are starting to see that, you know what, we could make our young son or a young daughter into a boxing champion. I've seen so many young kids that are talented. They've got it in them. And now it's time to inspire them. But not just inspire them, inspire everybody. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's definitely coming. And I'm always going to do my part and inspire everybody. And I'm always going to train hard and motivate the kids and do my bit. Do you know what I mean? And that's just how it's got to be, innit? I'm like I said, I'm nothing without Maharaj. And I'm just going to keep, trying to inspire everybody and, just stay focused on the game.
Yeah, I definitely think you're an important role model, because I think now the things you're doing are making other Sikhs across the world think that it is possible to fight on these big stages. Because like you say, if there is no one to look up to, you sometimes think that it's not possible. So I think that's very important. But 100%. Obviously we do pride ourselves on being a warrior race, which is why I think obviously that's our ancestors, right? But I think it's important that we earn the right to call ourselves a warrior race and competing in these combat sports. So it's good now to see other parents getting their kids involved in the sport of boxing or other combat sports. I feel like previously we shied away from putting kids into full contact sports for the parents being scared of their kids perhaps taking punches, taking certain shots. But it's not just about that, right? It's about the discipline it instills, the courage it instills 100%. In you. There's a hell of a lot that somebody can take from a combat sport into everyday life. So yeah, no, I say you're definitely inspiring a new generation of fighters, mate. So
it's got to be like that.
And obviously we've touched on obviously you now competing in the boxing Grand Prix. I feel like there's now a major shift in boxing, right? With the way that it's going, with the way that it's going to be structured. We've heard of the plans of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh and what he wants to do with the sport. He's going to be creating a new boxing league as well that's going to be headed up by Dana White. Do you think this is going to be good for boxing, or?
I think that he's just going to be another promoter in the sport. I think Dana White's going to have a big play because he has a different fan base, and a lot of the UFC fans will start watching boxing.
Yeah.
And smart move, I'd say.
Yeah.
Obviously, people are talking about the purses, but we won't actually know until it's all confirmed, until fighters actually reveal it, or etc., or if you find out. But I think it's a big move. I think boxing's becoming the old school.
Do you think it benefits boxing?
100%. I think that any type of boxing promoter that's trying to impact the sport and trying to take it to the big leagues gives the opportunities of a lifetime to fighters like myself. I think for me as a fighter, I think this is going to be massive. Like, I can actually see something good from coming in. Obviously, I can see where people say it's not going to be good, it's not going to be this, it's not going to be that, but we won't know for sure.
For the fighters, it's golden, I think, though, right? You got someone throwing money into the sport. And one thing that I like is, and you tell me if this has ever crossed your mind, because I think it perhaps would cross a lot of boxers' mind, because it was an era that changed it. I think back in the day when you had your Sugar Ray Robinsons, who lost a handful of fights but were kind of generational greats. Then the Mayweather era came along, and it was all about protecting your own and being undefeated. And I feel like a lot of boxers do that now. I know you're very early on in your career still. But do you think that element of it, because I know Turki Al-Sheikh has said that era needs to end now, that Mayweather era of protecting your own?
If you really think about it, the people made the Mayweather era. It wasn't actually Mayweather himself. He just wanted to be undefeated because he was the best in it. And his accolades speak for itself. He defeated the most world champions. He was undefeated. He beat really good fighters. And people can say whatever they want about Mayweather, but his work ethic was second to none. I think he was the hardest working fighter out there. His hard work, dedication, and whatever source he had, definitely took him to that
It
point.
wasn't luck, was it? Yeah.
Nah, it wasn't luck. It was hard work.
You don't get that far without luck.
And people don't see how hard he actually worked. He used to run 8 miles in 1 o'clock in the morning, and then he would call Zab Judah and say, I seen a video and Zab Judah said he'd call me again and say, I want to do another run.
Yeah.
His mindset was elite, and some people need to, like, I feel like a lot of people, they made the Mayweather era. He didn't make it. He was just a fighter. He's a champion in it.
The people,
but the people made something about it and then started talking about the O and stuff like that.
Do you think the boxers did start protecting their O then?
I think obviously every fighter is different in it. I think maybe if some did, then that's fine. If some didn't, then that's their mindset. But with me, I'm like the old school, like Duran, and you know, I'm not bothered. I'm going there to fight.
Active.
Yeah, I want to be active, man. I want to fight everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, boxing's a fighting sport. What's the point of fighting?
How often do you think, because at the minute, when you reach the pinnacle of the sport, right, and you're fighting for, say, European world titles, you're probably fighting twice a year. Do you think that's right? Do you think fighters, even at that level, need to be more active? Because obviously camps are, 3 months at a time when you're at that level. But
well, all I know is I'm going to be fighting a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm going to be, even when I've got championships and that, the whole point is that, you know, I want to fight as much as I possibly can. I know that some, you know, it's like 10, 12 round fights can be hard, but I think obviously I see why fighters, if they're doing 2 hard 12 round fights, it's understandable. But if you're okay and you're knocking guys out in the first couple of rounds and fight again the next couple of months, you know what I mean? Like, so I think I'm definitely going to try my best to fight as much as I can. And when the time comes, we'll see what happens in it. But yeah, I'm going to try my best to.
One thing which you have got is a very big following on social media. Obviously, you represent obviously Sikh Punjabis across the globe, and you've become infamous on social media for your ring entrances, right? Tell us a little bit about those.
So yeah, I've just started doing the entrances, but I represented Sikhi before. It was like it got like viral and stuff. Like, obviously I've grown up in the Sikh faith. I went to Gurdwara as a kid, like, you know what I mean, and my mum's like motivated me a lot to become more of like the knowledge of Sikhi and to learn about it. I used to go Punjabi classes as a kid as well. And you know, representing the Kunda for me is a massive thing. Like, it's beautiful because we're representing that warrior race we was talking about. The Kunda is obviously an amazing thing. And for me to walk out with my friend Charan Pal walks out with the Kunda, like, it's like an inspiration. And it's not for me, it's like inspiring everybody. Like we said with the kids and stuff, representing. And when young kids will see that, they'll think, you know what, we could do this as well. I want to get, like, what Cole Bryant said is true greatness is inspiring one kid to inspire another kid to inspire another kid.
It's a ripple effect. Right?
If I can inspire one kid to inspire another kid, and people are watching my videos, like, I get loads of messages from Punjabis and Sikhs around in Punjab and Canada, everywhere, like, and they're saying what you're doing is great. And that makes me happy, because it's not that I'm doing it for the fame. I'm doing it because I actually want to represent Sikhi and put us, like, create a legacy and to put us on the map in different ways, in athletics, in boxing. But like I said, it's not even just that. I think it actually motivates a lot of people in different ethnicities and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not just going to inspire Sikhs. I'm going to inspire everybody in the world. Do you know what I mean? And like, my legacy is going to be for everyone. But at the same time, like, representing the Kunda will really uplift, like, everyone in the community to say, we can be champions of the world. We can do this. And in my Jikirpa, like, when I have these world title fights, when I go on the Grand Prix, I will achieve everything I've set out to be. And only Marge will do that for me. You know what I mean? I just keep faith. That's it.
And what's the aim in this boxing Grand Prix, dare I ask?
I want to win everything.
Yeah.
I want to become the best in the world. I want to be number one. I want to be a world champion. I want to do everything. Everything my mind set out to do, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay focused. But like I said, the only way I can do that is with Maharaj is with me. You know what I mean? So I have no fear with Maharaj on my side.
Obviously, you just touched on your viral entrances into the ring, which have gone viral. Definitely got some more eyes on you. Would you say that's a huge part of boxing now? So talent and ability are no longer enough, and hard work. You also need to have some element of social status to, one, get your name out there, and two, get bums on seats. Have you noticed that's become a critical part? Because I think you're pretty handy with social media, right? And you've now kind of got a pretty good size following.
Yeah, definitely got a good following. I think obviously social media is a massive part of promotions and stuff. Like if you want to be, you're selling a fight, or if you're small horse shows, etc. You want fighters to, you want the fans to see, or the supporters to see it. You want to sell tickets and
Yeah.
stuff, but at the same time, social media is like,
Is it a distraction for you? Because
no, not
I
really.
imagine when you're trading, you're thinking, "Oh, I do need to get footage for this and that and this," because people are going to want to see what you're doing, right? And I think you do get a good amount of content
Yeah.
out there. But I'm like, is that not like a bit of hassle having to do that all the time, or is it just
No, because it's strictly boxing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nobody posts nothing without boxing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
even
yeah.
when I'm posting on social media, I'm posting strictly boxing.
Boxing, yeah,
Even
yeah, yeah.
like on my Instagram stories, I'll post fights like Manny Pacquiao and
Yeah, yeah.
Mayweather and Roberto Duran, Salvador Sanchez. I'll watch even like random fighters that no one even knows. Like
Yeah.
people don't know much about Henry Armstrong back in the day, and that for me, that actually inspires people. Not like because I just do it to post. It's just I like to be a student as much as like I'm basically posting these things. It's like what if I could like kind of like put it out there, that will motivate a lot of people to say he studies boxing, so I'm gonna do what he does. But then I watch like trainers and stuff, and they do the same thing, so I learn from them.
Yeah.
So like I'm like a sponge. I learn from anybody.
Yeah,
But,
I think that's a great attitude to have, and I think it's the best attitude to have. Obviously, we spoke there about social media. One of the other things that's often not really talked about when it comes to boxers, but I think it's definitely a big thing, especially in this day and age, is mental health.
yeah.
It's a lonely old sport, boxing. Have you ever had any challenges when it comes to your mental health in boxing? I can see you're very militant with your mindset. You're obsessed with a goal, obsessed with getting there. So I can imagine you handle those type of things well. But have you had any moments where you've struggled when it comes to mental health?
You know what? I think it's like with mental health for me. I think I do a lot of meditation. I do my part and stuff, and I pray to God. And I think a lot of these things, these tools that I have, like breathwork, meditation, and going to the Godra, having faith in Waiguru, I think it takes my pain away, whatever pain I feel. That doesn't just mean physically; that could be anything. Mental health's important. It's definitely like it's a very big thing in the world. I think everyone suffers in different ways, but I think we've all got different vices to get away from it.
Is there one thing that you could tell us where you've struggled mentally and you've had to overcome it? Because to me, it seems like you've got a bulletproof mindset. If someone was struggling mental health wise, I'd tell them to do all the things you're doing, like breath work, meditation.
Yeah.
So you're doing all that. But has there been any moment where
100%. I think when I was growing up, the things I went through in my life, personal stuff, made me a killer.
Yeah.
Turned me into a monster.
Are you able to talk about that, or is it quite
I'm
private?
not gonna talk about that. But what I'm saying is, there's a lot of things that if I could tell anyone, just from some things in your life turn you different.
Yeah.
Makes your mindset different. And I used to sit in my room. I used to say, I'm gonna be the best in the world.
Yeah.
I used to get angry and say it because I had a lot of fire in me.
Yeah.
And then what I didn't realize I was doing, I was manifesting in Waiguru's name. Like I was manifesting in Waiguru's name, and slowly, everything I set out to do, I started to channel it. And like breathwork, my guy Randy, he helped me like do breathwork and stuff, like to channel this fire towards like the boxing route. So like 2-3 years ago, obviously I was always going God doing my prayers, still doing my part and stuff. But there's other tools like breathwork that really came into my life and changed my life in different ways, meditation wise. And when you channel this fire, like let's just say we got elements and we got 5 different elements in this world. If you have a lot of fire in you and you got anger issues or you got some type of issue, there is ways you can channel it.
Yeah.
And breathwork was definitely something good for me. It was a meditational state, you know what I mean? And obviously praying to Maharaj as well, that was massive for me. And then I started doing my exercise and my training, etc. Like my runs in the morning, my runs, I would say my 10 rounds of sparring now. That's all channeled. But obviously, we all have our moments. Like no one's perfect. I'm not going to say I'm sitting here perfect. No, it's not that. We still all struggle in different ways, yeah. But the way for me is just staying focused. That's the key thing. Staying locked in, keeping my faith in God. And that's it. If you can keep all those things going, I don't think anything can touch you, you know what I mean? So I just keep my faith strong. I just keep working hard.
Yeah, I think that's it's definitely good advice there as well, because obviously you spoke about that you perhaps went through certain things while you were younger.
Yeah.
I'm sure many people have gone through elements of kind of trauma in their upbringing, but I think the key thing what you've done there is you've channeled it in the right way, right? You've used it not to derail, but to channel that energy into a positive, into the right direction, which is obviously your boxing career, right?
Yeah. You know what it is? I think, like, I've seen a lot of people, they have different vices, like I was saying. Like, some people go to the wrong stuff, like they would try to find an escape. But the thing is, one thing that I've learned is if you sit in the fire, you can learn how to control it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you sit in the fire and you learn how to control it, you can channel it yourself.
Yeah.
But you have to have faith in Maharaj to do that. You need to have some type of source to connect with.
Does a meditation help there?
100%, yeah.
Like you said, the fire, that's going to be all the chaos around you, so to speak, right? That you want to be able to be calm and composed in.
Listen, God's always going to challenge us in different ways.
Yeah.
For me, I always know, like with like these things in life, God's always going to challenge us in different ways. Do you know what I mean? You'll have so many tests in life, but it's about how you overcome it. But that's not just in spiritual. I'm talking about your physical as well. God, you can have so many different challenges, but it's about how strong you are to overcome it, how much faith you have. Do you know what I mean? We have to be strong within ourselves, innit? And obviously, as I got, like, I'm 22, I'm still young, talking about this crazy, but, you know, I'm not even got to 30 yet. But because I've learned it so young, like, I'm going to continue this going.
Yeah,
obviously, it's hard to say, because obviously I don't know what's going to happen when I'm 30. There's going to be so many challenges to come. But I'm just going to remain in this mode. And if I could tell anyone, just stay locked in. That's it. Sit in the fire and just stay locked in. Do you know what I mean? You might hurt for a week, it might hurt for 2 weeks, but you'll learn how to control it slowly. Find something positive to do. Find different ways to, not the negative stuff, not drinking, not smoking. Don't do none of that. If I could tell anyone, find different ways, like meditational things. Go into your faith, go into, you know, whatever place that makes you happy. Do you know what I mean? And just sit there and just meditate in God's name. If you believe, or if you have any other way, if you want to do yoga or something, or different ways, that would definitely help as well. But for me, doing my part, you know, connecting to Waheguru, you know what I mean, all the gurus in Sikhi, and also doing my breath work and stuff like that. And having the right people around you as well, that's a major thing. You need to have the right people around you. Like, I think sometimes you are what you become because of your environment.
Yeah.
If you're around the wrong people in life, if you're around the people that are pulling you down, that's going to have a massive effect on your life. But if you're around the right, as we say in Sikhi, the right Sangat, if you have the right people around you, that could take you to the next level. Do you know what I mean? Them, you can learn from them, they can learn from you, and you grow together. Even being like in the right relationship, etc. All these things play a part in your life. So yeah, I'm lucky enough to have Waheguru on my side and protected, you know what I mean?
It's a huge thing, being surrounded by the right people. And I think it's very underestimated how big of an impact it can make in your life. If you're surrounded by a couple of the wrong people, you won't think it will make a difference, 100%. But you'll slowly become one of them. They are your habits. That becomes all that you know, right? But 100%. If you're surrounded by people where you're pushing each other in the right direction, they're good influences. I've seen it myself. Obviously, I'm 10 years older than you, but I've definitely seen it. I've had good friends, I've had bad friends. But for me, that is probably one of the most important things. So you're 22 years old, you know this stuff already. For me, you've got, again, it's another thing it's another ribbon on your bow, so to speak, that you've got a wise head on young shoulders. So definitely continue with that mindset. Just conscious that we are running out of time. One of the important questions that I want to ask you as well, obviously we've spoke about social media, we've spoke about what it takes to potentially kind of get to the top. We spoke about how boxing's changing and evolving with Turki Al-Sheikh, Dana White getting involved. Obviously you're participating now in the first ever kind of boxing World Cup.
Yeah.
Would you say boxing is turning into WWE with the way
I don't know about that
events are now being promoted? Obviously, we've seen the Eubank Jr. and Conor Ben build up with the whole Eggate situation. Is it important? Because you're the opposite of that. You're calm, composed. You don't get caught up in any of that back and forth. But do you think it's important? Are you going to have to start rolling a few boxes up?
Nah, because if you look at Better Beef and Bivol,
Yeah.
that. So it's
Spoke
just,
about this on the it wasn't needed, was it?
Wasn't needed. Like, at the end of the day, you don't need to be. Like, I'm not gonna be like that. I don't even care if someone trash talk me. I'd stay quiet. I have nothing to prove until I fight. You know what I mean? Like, you look at the best fighters at Pacquiao and that. There was great champions without trash talking. So, you know, it's not in my persona. I'll be honest with you. I'm very, like I said, that fire has to be controlled in it, and I'll need shit when it comes to fight night. But all this trash talking business just sometimes shows me that you're weak in it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The real champions, they stay quiet, they stay focused, stay locked in, you know what I mean? And, you know, look at Better Beef and Bivol, they're two great champions. Even Canelo barely
They were ice cold.
Yeah, just cold in it, that's it. Like,
even at the end of the fight, just touch goes back to your corners, no 100%. Needle.
But when they've got in the ring, there's battering each other.
Yeah. Every round was like a 12-round fight, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think, obviously, you need it. Like, obviously, it's an entertainment business, I can see. But for me, personally, I'm just...
There's another way.
I'm not like that. And I respect that. If that's what you fighters want to be like, that's up to them. But for me, my personal self, I look at Better Beef and Bivol and I say, that's me. Like, you know what I mean? I've got that persona.
Do you know what? I think it works when it's authentic, when there is genuine, perhaps a storyline there. But I think too many times it's manufactured by boxers, and you can tell it's not them. You can tell it's not authentic. And like with you, you're like, I'm not gonna pretend to be something I'm not, which I rate, because I think it's very easy for boxers to get desperate and go down that route, to want to sell tickets, get bums on seats, but you're staying true to who you are, right?
If you think about it, it's like Mayweather. Mayweather had to do it because at that time, the heavyweight boxing was kind of like fading.
Yeah.
And Mayweather was the guy that was at the pinnacle. So Mayweather actually kept boxing alive. So that's why they say the Mayweather era was different to the way it is now. But for him to do that, that's crazy, you know, because he was at a next level, like, state position. And he was carrying boxing, I would say. I wouldn't say just carrying it. Pacquiao was there. You still had other champions. But what I'm saying is he had it, and then went to Anthony Joshua in the heavyweight British boxing. Kind of started changing. So for me, like it's entertaining because I watched the Eubank stuff for that. It's funny. I like both fighters. I think they're both great fighters. I think they're both funny as well. Eubank's like quite like a complete opposite to Conor Ben. But personally, from me, I like the Better Beef and Bivol. Just simple, you know what I mean? Just get in there, do the business, and both. To be fair, they're both probably one of the most established names in the world. They're both great champions, both undisputed, and they're going to have another fight. And I'm still going to tune into it. Do you know what I mean? So I think WWE, I don't know if that's true, because boxing's been like that for years. If you look at back in the day, Eubank and Nigel Benn didn't actually like each other either, like, apparently, well, if that was the case. But, you know, other fighters, like, let's just say... you know, there's always been trash talking in boxing. Carl Froch, George Groves. It was always like that. So
that's something when it's natural and it's authentic and you can tell it's not manufactured. I think you do get roped into it, right? But
Khan and Kell Brook.
But
there was always that trash talk. It's always been in boxing. But I don't think there's not WWE.
You don't think it's got worse, or it's part and parcel of the game, you think? Yeah.
I think that with the egg slap, I think that's just something that he did. I
honestly think it was a good way of hyping the fight.
Yeah, of course. And look at the views it was getting. Everyone was going viral. It went. Even Piers Morgan show that was a good interview thing. Like, I enjoyed watching it, and like you said, if it's natural, that's cool. But sometimes it can get over the top as well. You know what I mean?
Okay. Just as we're coming towards the end of the podcast now, just a couple of rapid fire questions. On the big boxing fights that are coming up, who you think will win? Whittaker and Cameron.
I think I have to go with Whittaker. I think he might outbox him this time.
He's a fellow Wolves boy, isn't he?
I think if he sticks to his boxing, and he doesn't go out firing shots and stays focused, stays switched on, and keeps his shape, I think he'll do all right.
I'd agree with you there. I think if he sticks to the plan and he sees it through,
because Cameron wasn't actually. Like, he can be outboxed. It's been shown.
I didn't know he was an ABA champion back in the day, so he's got pedigree behind him as well.
Dangerous fighter. He's still dangerous. You never know. Like, it might be a repeat again, but what I'm saying is I think Ben Whittaker might pull it off this time.
Yeah. Bivol versus Better Beef 3.
I like Better Beef, man.
I do as well.
I like Better Beef.
But I've just got a feeling Bivol's going to do it. I want Better Beef to win, because that's my type of style, but...
I think Better Beef will win that.
You think he'll do it?
Yeah, I think the last two fights are that close. I think Better Beef might just pull it off this time, because I think he's too used to him. Bivol is very, very elusive and loose with his punches. But better Biev, I think this time something would tell him this is like make or break for him, because he's at that age as well, whereas Bivol can carry on where he's got at the last stage. So I think he'd want to go on the high, so I think he's gonna be more motivated. But Bivol's locked in, he's focused. So sick fight, man. I can't even it's hard to choose them fights.
That's an impossible one to call, to be honest. But and finally, Ben versus Eubank Jr.
All right, I'll be honest. I think Eubank might win, but I think Conor Ben's gonna be up for it though.
Yeah,
I think anything can happen. I think I watched Conor. I was studying Conor Ben the other day, and he's very dangerous, and he's got a good punch selection as well. But I think Eubank's used to that weight category in it, and sometimes that makes a massive difference. I'm not sure.
He's coming down a bit, isn't he, Eubank? I'm just thinking at his age as well. Will it be to his detriment as he get? You've seen the likes of De La Hoya and people like that who have tried to come down later on in their careers, and it's backfired. That's the only concern. I feel like if Eubank fights how he did against Liam Smith in his last fight where he won, I think he'll win comfortably.
I think that's how his performance will be. I think Eubank might pull it off, but it's a great fight. I think they're both good fighters.
It'll be interesting. Good little storyline to it as well. We've come to the end of the podcast. Gully, thank you for coming down. I know you've come all the way from Wolverhampton, which is about an hour away from Coventry, so it is a bit of a drive. But yeah, just before we wrap up, obviously you're boxing in a couple of weeks' time in Saudi Arabia. The one thing which I haven't asked you yet is, how do we watch you? How do we watch this fight? Is it going to be televised, DAZN? So, where do we watch it?
I've been told that it's broadcasted on DAZN.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing. So I think just tune in. I think we should find out more information. So if anyone wants to know anything, just go on my socials, Gully Boxer, or go on my Facebook, Gully Powar, and you should know more details. But definitely just tune in. The next week or so, we'll definitely know a lot more.
Yeah.
And I'm just ready to fight. That's
awesome, mate. Good stuff. Well, there you have it. Gully's going to be flying out to Saudi in a couple of weeks to compete in the first ever Boxing World Cup, Boxing Grand Prix. So it's definitely going to be popping off for Gully, and hopefully we'll see him climb the ranks and see some big things. So Gully, thank you for coming on the podcast, and thank you for watching, everyone.
Thank you.